Namaste. Namaste and a very, very warm welcome to Women of Wonder Coffee Table Special Book Edition. This is our initiative to bring to you stories of empowered and ambitious women so that we can all take inspiration from them. My guest today is really, really special because she's one lady who's gone there and done it all. From a very, very successful corporate career to being an entrepreneur running her own nursery to now being one of the top healers in town, Meenakshi is somebody that everyone needs to meet. So very, very warm welcome to Meenakshi on the show. It's a pleasure having you here. How are you doing?
Namaste, Rima. First of all, I would like to start by saying a small gratitude and thank you to you. You're doing amazing. You don't know the amount of empowerment and the incredible support, the opportunity that you're giving to women. And believe me, I hear so many comments, so much of feedback saying you are doing amazing. And we all are a live testament to that. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I wish and pray to God that He gives you tremendous courage, tremendous amount of support to be able to continue on this wonderful journey.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi. I think, I genuinely believe that we all grow together. I want to grow and I want to grow with all the women around you. So a lot of the initiatives that we undertake in IWD are all about, like I said, right, telling your story to the world. Because I feel that if through this conversation, even one more woman gets inspired to take that little step, to step out of her home, to build her own little empire, I think you and I have done a good job, essentially. So with that, I'm going to kick off, and I think you've kind of given me the first question I really want to ask you. Gratitude and giving, I think it comes very naturally to the Meenakshi of today, right? And you've always been a giver all your life. At any point in life, did it feel like a burden to you?
Yes. So amazing question. Yeah. And the answer to that is a part yes and a part no. And why do I say that? Yeah. So when I was very young, right, I always thought that people just want to come and they want to open up their hearts with me. And I would wonder, what is it? Right. And I feel like the empathy in me, the energy, at that time, I didn't know words like aura and stuff because these are the buzzwords today. I'm talking about 20 years back, 30 years back when these words were never to be heard, right? People would come, they would share their journeys with me, they would share their difficulties with me. And suddenly they would themselves wonder, what made me open up to this woman? Like even yesterday, I went to another networking event and I met a complete stranger. The woman is in her 50s. And after the entire meeting was over for about an hour, she walked up to me and said, she held my hand and she said, Meenakshi, can I tell you something? Your smile is so beautiful. Something inside is telling me that I should just open up my whole thing, whatever I'm going through. And I was touched. I had goosebumps at that minute, that wow, if my energy can have impact even on one person at a time, I think my purpose or my calling, whatever you want to call it, is fulfilled. And it gave me that feeling, that satisfaction deep inside, which I think no money can buy.
Absolutely. And I think I agree with that women, Meenakshi, that you really carry that aura, that calm, composed aura where I can open my heart out. You really are that, you look beautiful. It's not only outer beauty, it looks very inner beauty too. But I want to know more, a little bit more that, before you discovered your calling, before you discovered your passion, I know you were in the corporate sector for a long, long time, right? You've done your, just like me, I also was in corporate for a long time. I did corporate life for 10 years before I discovered my passion of working with women. What did corporate feel like to you? What were those days like?
Amazing question. I would rather say there was a time when I hated, and I just didn't want to answer this question.
Hmm.
Because when I was in the corporate, I was just chasing the next big title, the next big deadline, the next travel. I was literally like, imagine a rat running on that race, right? On that wheel where there is no end to the wheel and the rat is just stuck. And every time I achieved something, it gave me an adrenaline rush, so to say, or that is what I perceived it as. But when I sat down and looked deep inside, I think something was very hollow. Something was very missing, an empty feeling. So I feel that all of us are always being taught that if your outside is not very happy, if the circumstances, the situations, the outcomes are not as per your expectations, you should feel a certain way. And by the certain way, I mean sad or hurt or guilt or whatever, right? We start with all those self doubts and fears. When the first time I heard the term inside out, I was literally kind of like blown away. And for a second, I stood there in disbelief, saying, what are you talking about? What is inside out? And then later on, when I started working on my own healing, on my own inner self, I realized that if your inside is calm, right? Imagine like the water pond early in the morning when there is absolutely no activity. If your inside is like that, if you can attain that calm, that peaceful, joyous feeling, your
Mm.
outside automatically shifts it. And this is not a, how should I say, it's not a metaphor, it's not a random saying that I'm saying. This is something I've actually experienced. I'm
Mm.
not someone who would discourage people, but
Mm.
I would always recommend people, if your life is going well and everything is fine, but if there is a dissatisfied feeling or a feeling that you cannot put a name to, just sit down and introspect. What is it that you really want to do? Right? Just like you look at you today. I mean, I'm sure the number of blessings, the number of wishes that you get, it shows, right?
It shows absolutely, that's what keeps me going, honestly, because every business or every initiative or every activity you do, you have your fair share of down days, good days and bad days, right? But when you look at the good days and when you look at the blessings we are getting, I think that's what keeps me rolling every day. So I have an interesting question for you, Meenakshi. I think you had Diwali is coming, and this one is very much linked to Diwali, right? I think one Diwali evening, your mother asked you a question, if I got it right, right? What was that question and how did it change your life?
Yeah. So this is a very emotional, touchy topic for me. Yeah.
Mm.
Because mothers are supposed to be their daughter's first best friend. And in some cases, it's just the other extreme. They are
Mm.
like the worst enemies, right? And I
Mm.
would say at that point, my relationship with my mother was kind of a love hate relationship where
Mm.
she was technically managing everything for me. So a week before Diwali, one night she makes me sit down and she asks me, are you really happy? And believe me, I had no words. I literally had no words to answer her, right? Or how much ever I wanted to put up a face and tell her, yes, yes, everything is going amazing. Her question just cut through the noise in my head, and everything was like just shant.
Mm.
No words to say, yeah, because I knew inside what I was going on with. Then she asked me, how much salary will make you happy, or what number in your bank account will make you happy, what designation will make you happy, is there ever going to be a stop, or are you just going to continue to run, 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 run? And that is what I thought was a profound moment, which made me literally pause, I would say, right? I just took a pause. It gave me an opportunity to go deep inside. I did not have the answers, neither the courage. Yeah.
Mm.
Immediately go and next day tell my boss. So I took a day, I thought about it. And the next day after that, I went and I told my boss, I'm resigning. And she was like, what are you talking about? This is your 10th year in the corporate world and you're doing really well. You're making a mark in a man's world. IT was still kind of a mixed balance, not so much of a man's world, but she was like, not, there are not too many women at the table at higher levels, even in the IT sector. So what are
Mm.
you talking about? So that kind of really, it took me a long time to make her understand what I was going through. So I
Yeah.
would tell everyone, have that courage to believe in yourself. At some point, the society teaches us that the
Mm.
success is always measured by your lifestyle, the
Mm.
house you live in, the car that you drive, where are you going, what clothes. Oh, Dubai, you know how it's
Yes.
all about the bling, right? And they all judge you by that. However, I tell people, it is always the inside. What have you actually got inside? You may have everything on the outside, but if you're not aligned with who you truly are, if you
Mm.
don't feel that peace, that calm inside, I'm sorry, you've not yet arrived in life.
Absolutely agree. I think you need to be happy inside. Well, then agree. An empty jar cannot fill other glasses, right? So that's what it is, right? So I always say you need to be happy to spread happiness.
Mhm.
Right. That is okay. So I have a question, Meenakshi. So you left your corporate job. We continue on your journey, and then you
Mhm.
opened a nursery. Is that
Mhm.
correct? And
Yes, that's
then,
right.
unfortunately, COVID happened. COVID changed a lot of lives. To be honest, COVID changed my life and my career trajectory too. But COVID changed your career trajectory too. Uh, was that a failure or was that a redirect of your energy?
This is another question very, very close to my heart. Yeah. I had opened that nursery, and believe me, when I had opened that nursery, it was almost like a third child to me. Yeah. And I think most women go through this. The business for them is almost like their child, they give their heart and soul to it. But
Mm,
somewhere I read a very beautiful line, what said, what feels like failure today is often universe's plan of redirecting you towards your true path. And when the nursery that I had really invested all my time, all my love, my energy, and had big goals for children to have a nurturing space for them to bloom, when all of that came to a standstill during the shutdown in COVID, it was almost like, somebody pulled the ground from beneath me. And I was just kind of literally, I remember that day in 2020, I was sitting there very quiet, feeling extremely heavy, lost, confused, and hope was nowhere in the scene, right? Because I really didn't have answers. Because on one side, there were parents asking for refunds, on one side, there was the staff asking for salary, and I genuinely didn't have questions like most business owners who went through the 2020 lockdown. They can relate to what I'm saying.
mm,
However, having sat there, this is where I decided to pause, work on myself. And one thing that I heard somewhere, so 2020 was also the time when a lot of people were doing podcasts. And if you remember, a lot of talk shows were happening to keep the motivation high so that everybody feels connected and all of those things. And
mm,
that's one of the places where I heard a very nice quote by Viktor Frankl. And it said something very profound, that nobody can take away from you how you feel, even in the darkest of times. The
mm,
feeling is something that you choose. Nobody can take it away from you, whether it's
mm.
good or it's bad. And when I heard that, it was as if some switch went on here, literally. And that's when I thought maybe it's not the end. Maybe this is
Mm.
just another door opening in front of me. And I started asking myself, and I started working on myself, healing every single day.
So when you started healing, Meenakshi, right? And I think NLP was one of the ways you learned how to heal yourself. You started offering NLP sessions at the same time, right? Offering healing to the world at one of your lowest points. Did that ever feel like, did helping others ever feel like therapy to you? What was that feeling like?
This is another very touchy topic for me, yeah, because it came as a, how should I say, a saving force, a
Mm-hmm.
a guiding light. It came at that moment when I really needed it the most. On the outside it may look like I was actually helping others, but believe me, it was literally like as if I was holding पुराने जमाने में वो lanterns होते थे.
Yeah.
Imagine I'm holding a lantern in a deep, dark cave inside.
Mm.
And every time I lit the lantern for somebody else, my own path was being carved and lit. So it was really, I'm telling you. So what happened was after the lockdown, my children went back to school, my husband went back to office, and the nursery was still kind of shut down, and I really didn't know what to do. So I started seeing people going through very challenging times. And
Mm.
unfortunately, mental health is still a taboo. People are not very open to talk about it because of the fear of being judged. अरे कोई बोलेगा ये तो पागल है, या whatever that is, right? People don't feel very safe. So I started catching hold of people and offering them counseling sessions. And believe me, with each story that I heard, every time I heard someone talking about their fears or guilt or self doubt, it was as if a piece of my story is reflecting back at me. And I was like, oh my God, that is me. That is me till now. And with every time there was a transformation and the person experienced that feeling, that is what taught me that what I'm actually doing is not just helping others, it's also teaching me how resilient we as human beings can be. And if we are open to giving that one helping hand, a small change can create a ripple effect. Because with that one person transformed, the whole family dynamics has changed. And people
Hmm.
have come back to me and said, thank you. You don't know the kind of impact that you've had, not on just one person's life, but all of us around them. Because at the end of the day, when the woman of the house is happy, everything around feels happy, no matter how the outside is.
Absolutely. And today, you run a very successful practice today, and you deal with a lot of different personalities going through their own needs in life at the moment. I know you help fix marriages. Whenever somebody comes to me for marriage advice, you're the first person I refer to, right?
Thank you.
And then, addiction and all of these things, right? I just wanted to understand, how do you create a very judgment free zone? And has there ever been like that one moment in your practice which has actually felt like, wow, this is life changing, I'm really creating an impact and I'm really learning from what I'm doing? What was that moment like?
Right. So, two things here. First thing, anytime anybody approaches me, like even the lady who came, although I didn't tell her through my words verbally, right, my energy made her feel comfortable.
Hmm.
However, when anybody approaches me, through
Hmm.
my actions and my energy, and
Hmm.
sometimes verbally, I
Hmm.
ensure that I tell them that this is a judgment free space. You will not be judged, and whatever you say will remain confidential. So
Hmm.
once the trust is built, it becomes easy for the person to kind of open up with whatever it is that they are
Yeah.
going through in their lives. That's one thing. And the other thing that I really care about is people's mental health. I really want to empower people to the extent that today, if somebody is physically sick, they have a flu, they have a cough or a cold or a stomach infection, they're okay to call up their boss and tell them, I'm taking a sick day. But if somebody is going through a severe depression or anxiety or a panic attack, they feel pressured. Oh my God, how can I tell my boss? What if I lose my job? So there have been several instances of different moments when I've had different experiences. One thing that really touched me and moved me in the early days of practice was I had someone who had approached me through a Google ad on one of the pages, right? Where they found me deep down somewhere on the page, but they said, oh, she's not advertising. Maybe let me connect with her and see. And when they got connected with me, they informed me that the person is homosexual and they have addiction problems. And unfortunately, the family had very clearly told the person, we will not support you in these ways. So they were almost at the verge of, to a point there, that I don't want to live anymore. I cannot do this alone, and I really don't know what to do. So much of guilt, so much of shame, so much of hurt, right? That my family is not okay to even get associated with me anymore. So working with them early on was not really easy. I would say it was also a learning for me because it was the first time I was dealing with something very crucial, so to say,
Hmm.
because it's very important to each person.
Yeah.
And we are nobody to judge whether it's right or wrong. However, when we started working with them layer by layer, there was one day, and it was a male, by the way. And for 2.5 hours, the amount of tears that rolled down, and finally the shoulders were kind of relaxed, and you could sense it in the body that the fear had kind of started melting away. The shame had gone, the guilt was going away. And that was a deep, profound moment when the person hugged me and said, thank you, really thank you. When my family did not have the courage to stand next to me, you are the one who is supporting me. And that I'm still having goosebumps as I recall that moment. They said, I don't know, maybe we were connected in some past life or something like that, and that's how I got associated and I got connected to you. But they said, I will definitely send all the people who are going through similar experiences to you, because sometimes people just want to be heard. They're not even looking for solutions. But unfortunately, we live in a digital age where connecting with someone in America or Australia or New Zealand is easier than talking to the person in the same room.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's why I'm super impressed with your movement, which is much more beyond therapies, right? It's become a movement in itself. If you were to rewrite the school curriculum, Meenakshi, right? And today's curriculum is all about math, science, physics, and facts. What would you rewrite it into? What does that
Super.
look like?
Super. So for someone who's leading such a powerful movement like you, very aptly asked question, and this has been one of my missions, I would say. I've been reaching out to a few educators actually who can make an impact, right? We are here to pave a way for the future generations to come, right? So one thing that I very strongly recommend and tell people is schools today, the curriculum today, if you look at it, children learn about biology, sciences, history, mathematics, right? But two important things are still broadly missing from the curriculum. What is it? Mental health and emotional intelligence. We talk about IQ in school. If the child is not performing, oh, maybe they are, maybe their mind is not okay, maybe they're not normal. We are very fast to give them those labels and send them to those special needs or whatever that is.
Hmm.
However, when I interact with children today, unfortunately, the number of children that come to me who don't know how to navigate the thoughts they are going through. They don't even sometimes know how to name the emotions what they are going through.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's shame, sometimes it's guilt, sometimes it's just peer pressure and stress. Sometimes they don't even know how to release that stress, but the parents are so busy making a livelihood because as per parents they're trying to give the best for the child, but
Yeah.
all the child wants is your time and affection and a safe space to just express themselves. So if there were two things to be added to the curriculum, mental health awareness and emotional intelligence are the two most important topics. And using NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, we can actually empower our children to know better about themselves, about their own minds before they go into the real world. It's almost like giving a user manual. Today when we buy an electronic gadget, it comes with a user manual which tells us what to do. So with NLP self discovery, the child gets a manual to understand themselves.
Wonderful. And Meenakshi, you've been an NLP coach, you are a healer, you've been entrepreneur, you've been an engineer, you've been an IT person. Who's Meenakshi at the core?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. So I think if all of these labels were stripped away, uh,
Hmm.
I would say I'm a seeker. And what do I mean by that? I notice, I connect with people, I notice different people, and I somehow help them to discover things about themselves that they also don't know, right? So I would say I'm a seeker for wisdom and for spirituality. And
Beautiful.
beyond all these titles and everything, I am very curious. So there have been times when people are trying to push me away, they're trying to run away from me, but I'm so curious because I know I'm an empath. When I walk into a room, I know who is sad, what is going on in this
Hmm.
person's mind, who is trying to hide something. And at one point, it used to be overwhelming for me, but now I've trained myself how to use that guiding light to train them and to empower them rather than me getting sucked into their energies and me carrying their emotional baggage.
How do you not carry emotional baggage? I know you talk to a lot of people every day, right, as a part of your coaching sessions, and not to be biased, but typically the people who would come to you are not very happy people, right? They are all going through their own struggles in life and their own challenges, or they're on their path of self discovery. How do you keep yourself sane when you hear so much, people sharing their grief, their sorrows, their sadness with you?
Superb question. And this is something that I live by. So every morning, my day starts with almost 45 minutes of meditation, where I'm kind of healing myself. And whatever is blocked inside of me, as you rightly said, most people that I meet during the day, and this is part of my work, it's my choice. I have made
Hmm.
this choice. So as part of my work, most people that I meet are not in a very great positive vibrational energy. They're usually at a slightly lower frequency. So when they come to me, I firmly believe that the energy exchange also happens, right? And
Yes.
at that point, there are days when I've actually noticed that when I don't meditate and I don't heal myself, I start having a pain in my neck or something else will show up either in my gut or in my back pain or whatever. So another practice that I also try and do on a very regular basis is it's called access bars. There are 32 points on
Mm.
our head. It's almost like, if you say, mental massage, mind reset. Yeah. So me and I have a business partner. So we try to do for 21 days every day, 45 minutes each. We just kind of get a nice mind massage, and everything that is bothering us is gone out, evaporated out.
Wow, very nice, very nice, interesting. So I want to know more about the fun Dubai journey that you have. Beyond the chaos, beyond the healing, beyond the reinvention of Meenakshi. How would you describe Dubai in a few words?
Um, Dubai is home more than India for now. I've been here since 2006. I've seen the ups and downs of Dubai. And one thing, if I were to say, what is Dubai? It's possibilities. It's a land of opportunities. I mean, look at Dubai, right? If you go back 30 or even 50 years, what was Dubai? It had the harshest possible landscape. But what they've shown us is, with vision, with your energy, with your hard work, you can easily turn it around and cultivate it into such a beautiful place. Today, when I speak to people, Indians want to come to Dubai. People where there is political unrest, they all want to come to Dubai. People from America want to come to Dubai because it's closer to home and they have better opportunities here. So for
Hmm.
me, it's a land of possibilities.
Wonderful. Okay, so coming to the final question of our show, Meenakshi, and this one is for inspiration and for every woman who's watching this show, right? If you had a big billboard, let's say a big one on the Sheikh Zayed Road, the biggest one you can think, and if you wanted to put on something for a woman who's feeling low, who's feeling stuck in her life, what would that billboard say?
Feeling stuck. Amazing. Okay.
Hmm.
I think the billboard would say, feeling stuck. Your chains are invisible, but so is your inner power. So unleash the power and break free today.
What a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Meenakshi. So unleash the power and just bring your beautiful self out to the world is the message from our Women of Wonder today, Meenakshi Iyer. She's a beautiful personality. If you are feeling challenges in your life, if you are feeling low, you need to just go meet her for the energy exchange, as she says. And I'm sure you'll walk out of the room re-energized, full of possibilities, and a little bit more happier than you walked in the room for. Thank you so much, Meenakshi, for joining us today. It's been a beautiful conversation. I love meeting you every time. And I think we had a fab event this weekend when we celebrated the launch of the Women of Wonder Coffee Table book. Thank you for choosing to partner on this journey with us and believing in us. We look forward to seeing you much more going forwards in IWT and our upcoming events. And with that, if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share to our channel, and share this with that one woman who needs to see this for more inspiration. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.